So welcome back to my channel, and in this video we're going to talk about cryptocurrency investing and specifically how I research when it comes to cryptocurrency, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into one of the cryptocurrencies that I currently have, which is Decentraland, and the ticker is MANA. So in this video we're going to talk about understanding cryptocurrency, the research process, the limitation, the purpose, and understanding the overall market as a whole, boiling that down into an investing strategy in terms of time frame, portfolio allocation, and also understanding something called whitepaper. And then afterwards, we're also going to talk briefly about technical analysis and trying out the product. So these are basically the steps I would go through if I were to invest in a cryptocurrency. You need to understand the limitation and what you should expect when it comes to cryptocurrency. Now, before we dive into the research process, I actually need to clarify that when it comes to investing, my vision is really to achieve 30% return. So if you're looking at investing in an index fund or an ETF fund, they generally give you around 10% return. And my strategy, it's about using options, it's about long-term investing, and the target is 30%. And that's already beating the market. But what about cryptocurrency? That sounds something that is exotic, and a lot of people are talking about it. And that's why we're going to talk about how to research and get comfortable so then you can research cryptocurrencies as well. Now, if you're interested in my regular stuff, which is investing in the market, which I have 200 videos of, then you can grab the free case study here. And this is perfect for you if you're learning investing in the stock market and you are a full-time professional, you're busy, and you want to master investing as soon as possible. So a lot of the techniques I use here in cryptocurrency is actually similar to my stock investing approach, except for stock investing, I actually dive a lot deeper. So in terms of investing accelerator, this month I'm looking for 20 professionals without a financial background to help them master investing. So the target is 30% return a year, and the stretch goal is 30 people. So investing accelerator, there are Serena that made 35% from Chef in 10 days, Venikesh that made 70% from AXP just around a week, and Andy made 45% from AXP, 25% from Chef, CAE 25%, and Work 25%, and VRYYF 150% gain. Altogether, he did a bulk exit for his portfolio. So congratulations to Serena, Andy, and Venikesh. So let's dive into the research process. So first, let's think about cryptocurrency and understand that limitation. When you think about cryptocurrency, this is very similar to invest in foreign currency like USD, Canadian, Switzerland, or whatnot. And it's also very similar to investing in a commodity like gold and silver. People might not accept cryptocurrency as an actual legitimate medium of exchange, but now it's becoming more and more apparent, and there are even credit cards that are issued using cryptocurrencies as well. When it comes to analyzing cryptocurrency, the biggest limitation is that you cannot use technical analysis on it. And I think news, to a certain extent, there is degree of influence, but it mainly is driven by hype. So you can't use financial analysis, you can't analyze the income statements, you can't analyze the balance sheets. Some cryptocurrencies can get delisted, and it is also less regulated. When you think about that, it is higher risk because there's less research you can do on a cryptocurrency. But even though there is less research, you can still do some homework before you invest. Now, when it comes to cryptocurrencies, there are a lot of different little coins and a lot of different purpose. Like some is for managing pets, some is for facial recognition, some is for a game, some is just for regular exchange, some is for a payment network. So you need to understand the purpose of the cryptocurrency, and you need to understand the market as well. Now, when it comes to understanding the market, let me bring you to Statista. And here is the number of cryptocurrencies worldwide from 2013 onwards. If you think about it, initially it started with 66, and then it just exploded to 4,500 as of February 2021. So you can see that trend is exponential. And this is actually one of the fundamental problems with cryptocurrencies. Now, when you're looking at each currency, they usually have some sort of limit of supply or some sort of expansion mechanism that is either inflation, similar, or they just have a limit on exactly the amount of cryptocurrency that is circulating. But when you look at the crypto market, you can see that there are more and more cryptocurrencies being launched. People are trying to get rich quick. The total supply of cryptocurrency as a whole is unlimited if you look at all the coins together, but individual coins are limited. And that's kind of one of the reasons why Bitcoin and ETH are going up. So that's something you need to consider when investing in cryptocurrency. And this is also one of the reasons why I hold off on investing a lot into cryptocurrency, because if the supply for the cryptocurrency explodes, then it eventually becomes zero in terms of the value of the cryptocurrency. So the challenge you're trying to solve here is really finding cryptocurrencies that are going up instead of going down, because you don't get dividend, you don't get interest. All you can do is buy and hold, unless you're somehow day trading crypto, which is a lot more risky. The next thing you want to understand is really your time frame. And when you're looking at your time frame, when it comes to crypto, some people can buy and sell within a day, some people can buy and sell within a year, some people can buy and sell and hold for multiple years. And when you think about cryptocurrency, and if you're actually holding on to a winner, then you should be holding, because if you are holding on to a winner, there's no point in jumping in and out of the market, because cryptocurrencies can go up and down plus or minus 20% easily. You might try to outsmart the market by timing it, but because the trend itself is so strong, it actually doesn't make sense to try to time the market. So you just need to exercise a reasonable amount of judgment and try to get in at a discounted price. Then that's all you can do. So before I jump to portfolio allocation, thinking about timing, this is actually technical analysis. And I do have a free course down below that talks about technical analysis, and it applies to cryptocurrencies as well. So if you want to learn that in detail, then you can actually take the free chart course below. Now, the next thing is really portfolio allocation. When you think about cryptocurrency, is very high risk, possibly unlimited supply when you look at the entire market. Possibly cryptocurrency projects can fail as well. This is a very new market, not very regulated. People can do whatever they want, and you can hear that there are hackers. And there was actually an instance where a hacker changed the code for a specific cryptocurrency and inflated the supply so much and dumped it onto the market, and the value of that cryptocurrency turned into zero. So when you think about that, you need to be very careful when it comes to investing in cryptocurrency. When it comes to investing in cryptocurrency, whether that is Bitcoin or ETH or another altcoin, which is the smaller coins, I treat that as extremely high risk. And when it comes to extremely high risk, what I would put in terms of my portfolio is 1%. So I don't put anything more than that. So if you look at my overall investing strategy that I mentioned here, 99% of what I do, in fact 100% of what I do, is actually investing in stocks. I find great companies that is at a discount, and I multiply my profit. And I'm only using a very small amount here. I don't want to make you feel like I'm investing a lot of money into crypto, because that is not the case. And when it comes to long term, the next 5 to 10 years, stocks is still going to play a major role, like 99% of my portfolio. That's why I want to give you a warning, basically proceed with caution. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is white paper. So if you're going to be researching on crypto, well, the first thing you want to do is really to take a look at the market cap and see where it is at. So depending on your strategy, you want to invest in something that is not too big, that has a lot of potential to grow. Basically, you're trying to replicate the initial condition or the scenario that Bitcoin started. Because if you invest in Bitcoin now, yes, there's a lot of people investing in it, but the gain is also a lot less. So you want to invest in something that is a little bit more junior, since it is high risk anyways, and you're only allocating like 1% of your portfolio to it. Then here you can go down and find some coins that might interest you. And once you find a coin that interests you, and you can see this list goes on and on and on. So just on Coinbase alone, I'm already at 200 here, and I can keep going. Once you find something that interests you, let's say in this case Decentraland, then you can look at the chart. So this is technical analysis, and there are actually a lot of techniques when it comes to this approach. It works really well when you're trying to predict movement in a relatively short term. So short term meaning less than a month or even a couple of days, so on and so forth. And I do have a free course below, so if you want to dive into technical analysis, you can take that. And what you want is really first understand what the coin is doing. What is Decentraland? So Decentraland is a virtual reality platform powered by ETH blockchain that allows users to create, experience, monetize content and application. So basically, it is like a game. So you can control an avatar in Decentraland, and we're actually going to dive into that in a bit. And you can like talk to other people, so on and so forth. You can read a little bit about founders, but I don't think that is actually quite important. Now, what you want is to read what makes Decentraland unique. If you're going to be investing in a coin and holding long term, then you better understand what it is for, because if the purpose is not very strong, then well, why are you holding on to the coin for 5 years? Basically, it is the currency of the game, and you can read it in detail, but in this case, I'm just going to give you the main point and move forward with it. So the next important point is actually how many Decentraland coins are there in circulation. This is important because when you're investing in a coin and you want the coin to go up, basically it's a supply and demand issue. Over time, hopefully the coin that you have chosen has an increase in demand, and at the same time, the supply should be increasing less than that, decreasing, or even just holding constant. Here you'll find that as of January 2021, just north of 1.49 billion mana tokens were in circulation, okay, which is 68% of the total supply. Now, something interesting about mana is that there is a burn mechanism to basically reduce the circulating supply, which includes a 2.5% mana burn on Decentraland marketplace transactions. Now, this is something that I came across for the first time when I was analyzing mana. So basically, the more transactions that there are, the more mana gets burnt. So there's less and less supply. So you can imagine this is like a transaction cost within the community. So the more popular mana gets, the more mana gets burnt. So basically, more users using mana, the more money, the currency, gets burnt. So this reduces the supply, which should cause mana to go up. So mana was originally designed to inflate 8% in the first year and decreasing gradually to a reduced rate of inflation. But currently inflation is disabled. Again, so then the supply is actually reduced, and there are no plans to initiate this inflation until necessary. So in total, 40% of mana supply was sold in 2019 in the ICO. An additional 20% was reserved to incentivize the community, so that's like giveaways and events and so on. And 20% went to the development team and other early contributor, and the remaining 20% was held by Decentraland. Lead tokens are no longer vested. So then the next one is security. So that's also quite useful to know, but it's ETH, so it should be okay. And where can you buy mana? So you can buy it in Binance, you can buy it in Coinbase, you can buy it in a lot of locations like Kraken, or even just within the game itself. Now, this is actually not the white paper. This is actually just the profile for mana, and you can actually go to read the white paper. So the white paper is kind of like a technical documentation of the coin itself, and it has a lot of pages, and here you can see there are 15 pages. So if you plan to invest in mana like I have, then you should actually read through the entire document just to get a feeling of what it is about and how does it work and whether you think this will gain in popularity. And this is really the key word, because if you think that there isn't really a use case for it, it's not going to be popular, it's not that important, then don't invest in it, because you're going to end up wasting your time and money on a coin that nobody's going to use. So for example, you can see that they kind of created a piece of land, and then this is, nothing on it, and then people start building stuff onto this virtual world, and you can buy and sell land, which is why it's called Decentraland, and you can build whatever you want on the land. So basically, the most recent piece of news for Decentraland is that there is a casino that is going to be built in it, and that actually caused the price of Decentraland to go up, which is kind of interesting. You can read through it. I read through it already, so I'm just trying to see if there are any images that I can bring to your attention. The next thing you can do in terms of timing is really technical analysis. I also go through technical analysis in other videos on my channel, so you can look at that as well. So the last one is really trying out the product. I think out of all the cryptocurrencies, this is probably one of the only cryptocurrencies where you can have a hands-on experience and basically interact with others when it comes to trying the product. I'm gonna go through the website to give you a feeling of what it is like to be on Decentraland and whether the product itself is good or not. And here you can already see this is actually the page. And in a later video, I'm going to log in to Decentraland and basically share my experience in terms of using this platform with you. Basically, I think there are quite a few things to explore in Decentraland, so then we'll go from there. So here you can see that you can create your own avatar, like I mentioned earlier, and basically these in-game items you need to buy and sell as well. You can also create items to sell for mana coins, so which is great. And then after that, you can see the background is actually a map of Decentraland's land, and you can go visit different locations. And there are a lot of different, what they call realms, that you can visit. In the next video, I'm gonna kind of go through a couple of realms. I actually haven't figured out exactly how it works yet, so I just created my avatar a couple hours ago, so I'm gonna record a video on exploring Decentraland. And this is gonna be part of my basically in-field study of the investments I'm planning to make. And this is something I do when it comes to investing in the market. When it comes to stock markets, for example, I invested in Shake Shack. I actually had their burger. I actually think their burger is fantastic. I invest in Starbucks because I like the coffee. I invest in FedEx because I also use FedEx, and I know how many people are using FedEx during COVID to send masks from Hong Kong to North America. And that is really the process I go through when it comes to investing. And now this is kind of my documentation on my investing journey in Decentraland. So I'm going to try out the platform to see if I like it. And I already did my research, so I kind of have a position in Decentraland already. What would be really valuable to solidify my understanding of Decentraland is to actually just use the platform. I know not everyone here is going to try to use Decentraland even if they invest in it. So I'm going to basically be the guinea pig and explore the land with you here. So I'll see you in the next video.